Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the dogood podcast with myself, Rob Watson. And I'm kind of just going to go on the fly with this one and just see what's going to come and what's going to flow. I do have a general little bit of a theme. Normally I'll sort of like think about these a little bit more and make some more notes, but for this one I've just got a few little things in my head, so I don't know how long it's going to be. We'll see. But the theme that I've got is to take the road less travelled. And it's something in a way that I've spoke about in other podcasts, and my own journey to making some changes in my life, making some significant changes, breaking free of the status quo, the way we're supposed to. When I say supposed to, I just mean like the mainstream kind of narrative, the mainstream path of what is perceived to make us feel happy, to me it's perceived to make us feel successful, healthy, good relationships. And really my path over the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years has been about unpicking a lot of that stuff to see what is actually relevant in my life, what is true to me, and realising that I've had to really look long and hard at some of the things that I'm doing in my life, some of the paths that I'm going down. And the reason why I love the phrase take the road less travelled is because we're all given at so many times in our life different opportunities and different choices and different paths to take. It's literally like where we come to a certain point, we come to a crossroads in our life, and it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it's so true that we could literally shoot off into many different directions, and we have a choice there to make. And I feel like sometimes the choices that we make aren't necessarily what is true to us, what really feels right for us. In fact, we kind of just get swept along with stuff, or we just go along with popular opinion, or we even let other people make decisions for us. I think we can all relate to that. And sure, that's going to be a time in our lives where we'll be very young and people will guide us and help us make choices and stuff. But then sometimes it can feel like them choices can maybe be put on us a little bit. There can be too much pressure, and then we might look back and later in life when we're much older thinking, you know what, I wish I would have done this instead, and I wish I was brave enough or strong enough to go down this different path. So this is really what I want to talk about in this episode. And like I said, I haven't really got a clue of the path that I'm going to take on this, no pun intended with that. But I remember when I was younger that I remember, I think we can all remember, can't we? We can all go back and think about, there's been certain times in our life where there's been key decisions to make. Like I know for me, when I was 19, I'd always loved art. I'd really, really enjoyed it and really loved that creativity, that expression. And then I kind of fell out of love with it when I was at college, high school, college, and just got really fed up with it. And I also enjoyed maths, so I kind of one of my crossroads there was, do I go and train to be in accountancy? And I wasn't really into it, I wasn't really. I loved maths as such, but I wasn't really into being an accountant. And thankfully, someone stepped in there to help guide me, almost a step there, and that was my auntie and my mum. Were like, we know that you still love art and we can support you, and there's this course at this college that you could go and do. And it was a diploma in art and design, and that was one of the greatest years of me in terms of learning and expression and really growing and finding something that I truly loved to do, something that was so free and exciting and expressive, and you really saw something that was what you created. And that then led me on to go to university and get my degree, and then go into industry and then focus on being a designer. And without that point, going back to that time where people would have sort of been there to help guide me and support me, was really, really important. That really was sort of like the takeoff year for me. And if I hadn't have done that, I would have just gone to to pursue maths and to pursue becoming an accountant. And there's nothing against accountancies, people who are accountants, all good to them, if that's something that you enjoy. But for me, because I had that feeling of wanting to be creative, and I've got the dog barking in the background, the neighbour's dog, Heidi. Hello, Heidi. Maybe you can put a zip on it for a little bit. So, and this idea, take the road less travelled, and to make different decisions in our life, I want to tie this into some of the stuff I spoke about in some other podcasts about my own deep spiritual beliefs that I have now about how I believe that we incarnate on this earth and we have a soul that exists beyond this space and time. And in some ways, not even some ways, in many ways, that we truly are the creators of our reality. We can shift and make some massive strides in our life. I think we can all relate that to that, can't we? Whether there's certain times where you've maybe felt some blockages and you didn't know where you were going in your life, and you look back and go, wow, look how far I've come in 6 months or a year or even in a week. We can make some big changes and really explore and have many amazing times in our life. So, and the reason I want to tie it into, I remember I spoke to you about Bashar Dal-Lanka, which is, information that is channeled. And this is why I think the Road Less Travels really ties in more to realize that life doesn't happen to us, it happens through us, and we get to be the true creators of our reality. We can literally shift and change timelines. That's what I've become to aware of, like the idea that we can shift timelines. So a crossroad may appear like it's just there. You're going to go that way in your life and you're going this way. But by you making that choice, you're literally going to shift down to a completely different timeline in your life. Now, an example I always remember is Dr. Stephen Hawkins, who actually passed away not too long ago. He made a statement a few years ago about the band One Direction. Now, I think they broke up now, but before that, one of the members left the group, and Stephen Hawkins made a comment to say, in another parallel reality, that guy's still in the band, that still exists. So whenever we make a choice in our life, whenever we make that, it's like that other version of us still exists on another timeline, on another parallel reality. So we're the one that can shift and choose this and to go down these things. It's not just black and white. It's not like, oh, if I make that choice, that one's gone. It's like, do you know what? Another version of us is experiencing that from another level. Now, it can kind of feel like a bit insane to kind of wrap your head around that at times. Yet once you do, and once you start to believe that maybe we are shifting. So with that, for me, it's very empowering to think that I can make some huge strides and leaps in my life, that I am not bound by physical reality. I'm not bound by things that are around me. In fact, that I'm the one with the key. We've all got the key to go down any path that we wish to do. And this is the thing for me, that what I've wanted to be able to do is once you start to feel more empowered, and the things that you start to believe more in yourself, and you start to see things maybe in a different light, and you think, that doesn't kind of work for me anymore, or I don't like the idea of that. Like, I turned 31. I had some big shifts in that time in my life, and I just got married, and my business was kind of perceived to be doing very well, winning awards, and we'd recently bought our home, and we were going on nice holidays and stuff, and I kind of got to that point where supposedly I had achieved or that level of success. And yeah, I was looking around thinking, is this it? Is this what success looks like? Is this what happiness looks like? And it's really interesting to see how I now, over the past 8 years, have been looking to break free from a lot of the society norms and what is perceived to make us happy. So it's life is an interesting journey, and we've all got our challenges. We really have, and I'm going through some big ones at the moment, but I know it's for my greater good. And sometimes this is where the choice comes. Sometimes you don't even have a choice. Sometimes something is so important that has to happen to you, because a future version of you, this is what I like to think, the future version of me is guiding me towards becoming more of myself. Because sometimes our egoic self and how we are, sometimes we can resist change, and we cannot want to go for it. There's been times for me in my life past few years where I've been like, yes, that sounds exciting, and I'm really behind that, like some of the adventures I've gone on, or the way we changed the business model so it could be more free and not work as much. All of them were really exciting to me, yet but there's sometimes other things, depending on our own history and our own challenges and our insecurities that we have, that sometimes the changes or the shifts that would be beneficial to us, we have resistance. And that's what I'm experiencing quite a bit at the moment. I'm feeling like resistance around stuff, and I think this is the case for a lot of people. If we're on this journey of life, and people might sugarcoat it and just see their Instagram stories or what they post on social media, but when you really speak to someone, when you really sit down and chat with them and open up, you realize that we've all got issues, we've all got challenges, and we're all on this journey of life. And the more that we can be more open about the issues and challenges that we face, the more that we can choose a greater path, a better path for us, and we can help others and help guide others. That's why I see for me, I realised that I used to go through this spell for ages where, when you suddenly have these quite strong beliefs about stuff and you think, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if everyone did this? And sometimes you can overshare and you can over kind of influence in some ways what you think would be a great thing for everyone. Yeah, I now realise that all I can really do is make the changes to me. All I can do is become a better version of me. I can't change anyone else. It's not my job to change anyone else. All any of us do is be an example, a shining light, as it were. I can go back to other times for me thinking like real crossroads, and there's been times when when I look back and think, God, that really could have gone down a nasty path and gone down a negative timeline. And I'm so grateful that I didn't do that. I didn't go down that shift. Well, I wouldn't be here doing this now. I wouldn't have been making the change and becoming what I believe to be a better version of myself. In fact, some of them things that would have happened if I would have gone down that path would not have been a better version of me. And that is just the path that I am on. I'm looking to, and it's not about just growth all the time, but we all want to just unfold and be greater and more fulfilled and to experience more feelings of joy and growth and happiness. And life isn't all about that. We've got to sometimes just sit still and be with it and recognize that shit's going to come up. But life's pretty amazing when we really, really start to tune into it and think, right, okay, well, if I've incarnated now and I've chosen this life and I've chosen this life to live and to learn, to grow, to become more of who I can be, then life, wow, it can truly be magical. It really can. And we can change whichever path we're on. Sometimes we just need to be brave. We need to just be brave and just take that leap into the unknown, that leap of faith, of feeling like, come on, let's just give it a shot. Let's just go for it. Because the thing is from my experience, some of the changes that I've made, if something doesn't work out, or you can work out, what's the worst case scenario? That's always a good one for me. What's the worst case scenario? If this doesn't work out, what can I do? Can I go back to where I was going? Like, of course you can. I just feel it's best to at least give something a go, something that you're really excited about. It could be a new career. It could be starting that new hobby. It could be anything, new relationship, just being brave in some ways. That's just like a shift. And when we make that change, we're literally a different person. We're literally like a better version of us. And that other version of us is kind of like we've outgrown them. And we can all relate to that, can't we? And this is what I think life is a lot about. It's kind of like shedding our skin, shedding our layers, shedding our armour, stripping away the layers to realise what we are at our core, and that we don't have to be held back by some of our negative beliefs or the traumas that we've experienced. Of course, they're there to guide us, they're there to support us, they're there to take us where we're supposed to go with life. Yet it doesn't have to truly define us. In fact, that's what I'm going through now. I'm letting go more. I think we all are, more layers of this life. That's what it comes down to for me, is very much like letting go of the things that no longer serve us. And that's something that's really been apparent for me over the years, is beginning to let go of some of the things that no longer serve me and thinking, what is maybe I feel like it's holding me back, it's pulling me back. Can I redefine that? Can I go in a different direction? Sometimes we have to let go of some relationships, people in our lives that may have potentially a toxic influence on us. And this isn't like a judgment of them, it's just an observation, because we've probably been toxic as well. But when we make the shift, we make the change. Often when we do make a significant change in our life, the people around us are still the same. They are anyway for the time being. And once you start becoming interested in different things, whether it's through the reading or the podcasts or the YouTubes or the things that you're just going on, the courses, classes, new career, you will naturally bring more people into your lives, different people that reflect the changes that you made, and that can feel really good. But often we have to cut the ties sometimes, and we don't need to look back so much, do we? We kind of just need to be grateful for the path we've been on, grateful for the experience, blessed it, truly bless the experience, bless the people that we've been with to help us get to this point now. Yet just think, we're on a new road now, we're on a new path, and let's see where this takes us. let's just go for it sometimes. Something could be really exciting for you. Like, what's holding me back? And in the end, it's just us that's holding us back. It's us that is stopping us from doing them things. We could say it's this, we could say, oh, it's the economy stopping me from starting this new business. Or, I don't get this support from someone to help me, go and do this thing. It's like, it comes down to us. We need to find that inner strength that we know we've all got, every single one of us. We just need to believe more in ourselves. And that can be challenging if we've lived a life of maybe people not believing of us, not supporting us. Yet that's the challenge to overcome. And we've all got challenges, and we can go down a different path. We can take the road less travelled. We can truly have some incredible experiences. And what's the worst that can happen? I always like to think about that sometimes. If I'm going to make this change, what's the worst that can happen? And unless it's an absolute horrendous scenario, I'm going to go for it, because I think, well, I've got nothing to lose. Actually, the loss is in not doing something. And I remember there's a really great quote that always stays with me, and I think it's either Tony Robbins or something else. Basically, in 20 years' time, you'll regret more the things that you didn't do than the things that we actually do. And that's so true, isn't it? And as we get a bit older, we can think, oh, I wish I would have done more in my youth, or I wish I would have done this. Like, something for me when I was younger, I remember feeling like I wish I would have travelled a bit more when I was like, I could have taken maybe a gap year at university, or maybe in my summer holiday breaks there, has gone off exploring, travelling. But that wasn't for me. That wasn't supposed to be for me. But because I held that strongly, thinking, oh, I wish I would have gone to, say, Thailand for a few months or explored this place, it's meant for me, particularly the past few years, of going doing them adventures now, of exploring these places and doing these different things. It's never too late to make a change. As talking on my previous podcast with Jim Giles, he's in his 80s, he goes back to university to do his masters. He totally changed courses and paths, and in a way, like I spoke about, sometimes you'll get that shift, you'll get that push. That he got made redundant when he was in his late 50s, and that then pushed him and pursued him to go on to do his degree and then eventually do his masters. So we may think at a time there's a certain juncture or a certain path that we're on, and it might have just been cut short for us, and we've been like in our mind thinking, oh, that's where I want to go. Well, I think in a way, the universe, our higher self, our soul has other plans for us, because we're in this time now of growth and expansion, and we're literally shifting, and we're, like I said, we're shedding away the layers of conditioning of what's restricting us and resistance to change. And often we need that push, we need that like kick to go down that different direction. Something as well that's really apparent for me as well is, now I'm at this point now, is to also, let's just remember to have some more fun, hey. And this is me really speaking to myself, because in a way, my life of the past 7-8 years, even though it's massively transformational, massive changes, in a way, and I've had so much sort of adventure and expansion and growth in that, and really felt a lot of joy. But I think as well at times, because I've been on this self-development path and I've been growing and I've been doing all these things, in some ways, some of the fun, some of the play has gone from my life. Some of the things that I would have done in the past for a little bit of play, I've kind of felt like, oh no, that's not spiritual, or that's, that's not me anymore. Well, it's interesting for me, just the past month, I've kind of been going, I don't know, just like integrating the two. We went to Glastonbury Festival, and that's pretty a life-changing experience. First time I've ever been. Weather was phenomenal for us, and I let go. And that's a key thing for me, saying like, I found it quite challenging to sort of like let go and just be and just relax and kind of just have some fun. I've kind of, sometimes you can create a little bit of too much of a box to live in, and the path can be a little bit narrow and rigid, because that's what I think is the healthiest path, or that's the highest vibrational path, or that's, all them things. And in the end, it's just an ego trip. And a lot of it, like the spiritual ego, as I like to consider it, is just is creating them kind of like boundaries, them restrictions. And I think part of my journey is to let go more and to have some more fun. So we did that at Glastonbury, did kind of let our hair down, and again, just recording this podcast, recording this on a Sunday, and last night, me and my wife Ruth decided to go on a date night, and it was pretty, just mentioned it on Thursday, oh, should we go out? And, we went out, and we had a really nice meal, and we had a couple of drinks, and then she was like, you know what, there's this dance night on. And there was a part of me thinking, oh no, let's just get the train back, and let's get, that'll be fine. That'll be fine for me. And she encouraged me, she said, come on, it'll be fun, what we got to lose. And I had nothing to lose. I was like, okay, well, if we don't like it, we can go after an hour. And we just went there, and we had some fun, and we danced together, and we had loads of fun together, and until 3-4 in the morning. And it was just really good to just have some fun again, and to let go. And that for me is going to take me down a better path. And it's about me now being at that point of taking all the things that I've learned around my health, my wealth, and transform my life to empower myself. But also remember, come on, this life is here to be enjoyed. This life is here to have some fun and play, and to dance, and to explore this amazing life. Here's some wise words from people who are like at the end of their lives, people who are dying, that then pass on some wisdom to people. What are some of the regrets? What do they wish that they would have done more? And one of them is not taking enough career chances. There's so many people who are dissatisfied with the job and feel like they just go along with stuff, and inside them they look back and think, you know what, I really wish I would have done this instead. I really wish that I would have taken a chance more. Other thing was, it's not taking care of our bodies throughout the time. People who may not particularly live a great lifestyle, and it can catch up to us. And I'm very much of the belief of kind of looking after myself now. So when I'm in my later years, I'm still strong, I'm still fit, I'm still healthy. And that's something that really resonates with me, to hear that from people. And another one says, people say you're not traveling enough, not going on enough adventures, not exploring enough. A lot of us can be sometimes hermits and not want to go and do things sometimes. And, we've got our own reasons for that. But also, we never really regret. I can't remember actually ever regretting a trip that I've gone on. You always feel better for it, for the new experiences. You're seeing things with fresh eyes. Often when we're in our homes, or when things become a little bit samey, we see the same stuff each day. Life can become a little bit, plain at times. So it's nice to go and do something new, go and explore somewhere else. A couple other things that they spoke about as well was not being honest. Probably not being honest with themselves, not being honest with other people. I can relate to that at times in my life where I feel like I haven't really been being my true self. I haven't really been saying what I'm feeling properly. I've kind of shied away from that. So, and then another one was practicing forgiveness more, probably again with ourselves, but also it says about with family members. I think a lot of us, can think back of times when we might have had a fallout with a family member, someone who's really close to us, and it doesn't feel good, does it? And sometimes they can go on for a very long time. Some can go on for years and years, and I think they really pain us. And surely when it comes to that day when we go, we want to at least, not just lived our best life, but done as well as we can with the people around us. And so there is some wisdom from some of the people who are right at the end of their life, and that's something that I thought it'd be best to drop in. I just want to touch on as well a couple of films and documentaries that have kind of really sort of inspired me. Be inspired to make some changes in my life. And I think we've all had that, haven't we? You've watched something, a film or a documentary, or read a story about someone and been truly inspired about the progress and the journey that they've gone on. Well, one of them, the documentaries, is called Expedition Happiness. It follows a German couple who go over to North America and get this old school bus and kit it out, paint it all white, do it really nice inside, turn it into a home on wheels for them. They've got the dog with them as well. And then they go off on an amazing adventure. They start up on like the east coast of America, work their way all the way across up through Canada, and then they go up to Alaska. And it's just an amazing, inspiring journey for them. And then they come down all the way down the west coast of America, working their way through California, and they again go all the way through to Mexico and end up in Tulum. So they've been on one hell of a journey together, and they really have taken the road less travelled. And it's not just, it doesn't just talk about all the great things in there. They talk about it's challenging as well, them things and stuff, and they don't shy away from them things that have been challenging for them along the route, because it's going to be pretty tough at times to be in a bus for so many months. Yet the experience, the adventure, that's just I think a lot of us are all seeking more adventure, aren't we? We're seeking more new experiences, and to see their journey, I'll put a link to them as well. Definitely check it out if you've not watched it. It's a pretty popular documentary, and a film that's truly just sort of like blows my mind when I keep watching it over and over is Into the Wild, which follows this guy, Christopher, who after graduating from universities, he's a top student and an athlete, and he basically abandons his possessions. He gives away his entire $24,000 savings to a charity, and basically decides to hitchhike to Alaska to live in the wilderness. And he goes on one hell of an incredible journey. He pretty much, gives up the idea of money and ways and just finds a way. And he certainly encounters like an incredible amount of characters on that journey. And it's a beautiful story. It's a film that's created by Sean Penn. I think a lot of people have watched it and sort of been like really sort of like motivated, inspired. I'm not saying, I would want to abandon all my stuff, but I think at times when the way we live, it can kind of feel like we do want to break out and we just want to like shoot in the opposite direction. Well, this guy certainly does it. It's a true story, and it follows this guy's journey all the way up to Alaska. And, it's amazing. It's amazing to think that, people do this sort of stuff. They just kind of go against the status quo and they seek new experiences. So that's an amazing film worth checking out. So wherever you are, whatever's going on in your life and whatever point you're in, you can change, you can improve, you can have more sort of fun, and it doesn't have to be so serious, but we can all begin to take the road less traveled. We can tap into more of who we are. That thing, that feeling that you get. This is something that helps me. When you get that feeling of, should I go in this direction? Should I go? No, often I find for me, it's like what comes up initially, that if it's a feeling of excitement about doing something, it's like, that's what's right for me. I should follow that. I should follow that thread of excitement. And that's what can help us on the road of life, is to follow more of excitement, is to make decisions more from our heart, more from our gut, what feels right, not what thinks right, what's my brain saying to me, or what's the outside world saying to me of what I can and can't do. It's like, no, let's listen to our heart more and realize there's the key, right? The true wisdom and the true guidance can come from inside of all of us. And we've all got here to shine our own light. We're all here to be that version of us that we know we can be. And because the way life is now, because the way everything is expanding and changing around us with technology and all the connectionness and everything, it's showing us that anything's possible for us. Yeah, there's going to be tough times, there's going to be challenges to overcome, but that's part of anything being possible. We grow from the most tough things, the most challenging things. That's where the most growth comes from. And we can reflect back on stuff when we do go down that new path and go, God, I'm so glad that I went down there. I'm so glad, because look what's happened to me in life. Look at the new friends that I've got. Look at the new passions that I'm interested in. Look what I'm doing with life. I'm getting up each day and I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm doing this stuff. It doesn't have to be massive, grand either. It can just be something small. Something that's going to make us feel better, going to make us feel good. And then we're then going to go out and do more good in the world. So anyway, I've enjoyed sharing this with you. And remember to take the road less travelled. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with someone. And if you listen to it on Apple, please give us 5 stars. If you think it's worth 5 stars, please give us a review on there. It really helps and helps to grow the podcast and get it a little bit more out there. So anyway, until next time, have a good one.